I'm going to demonstrate to you today how your loyalty to your ideas is holding you back in life. So it's not the ideas themselves. The ideas are fine and we're going to keep them, but your loyalty to them, the way that you put them under sacred status, the way that they're held up on a pedestal and cannot be questioned, cannot be touched, and they're kind of given this absolute kind of status. That's the problem. Around these parts, we're interested in your cyclical problems, right? So we're interested in struggle that just never ends. Problems that just keep cropping up, right? You know, these ones where it's like different people in different locations, like the surface level details seem to change, but it's the same problem and it's the same themes that you've been struggling with your whole life, right? We're interested in breaking out of these loops. And so we need to look inside our psychology to see how we are perpetuating them. And so my big thing for you today is that the way that you hold on to your beliefs is perpetuating these problems. That's what we're going to get into today. So here's the structure. First, I'm going to tell you what I mean. I'm going to explain what I mean by what I just said so that we're on the same page. And then I'm going to explain the actual idea, hopefully in a convincingly way so that we agree. And then if we do agree, if we get that far, I'm going to share with you how to break past these ideas. We're going to get into lush, fertile new territory in your mind so that you can move beyond, so that you can move into the next thing. And then that will be a job well done. So that's what we're in for today. If we never met before, hello, I'm so grateful that you're here. My name is Brent. I coach people to become self-actualized and productive. And I do this by assisting people out of friction and into flow, out of disempowerment into empowerment, and out of chaos and into control. I have a one-on-one coaching practice where I guide clients to enact these results. And if you're interested in that, check out the link in the description where you can learn all about that, including how to get your first session for free. So with that done, let us now dive into it. I'm going to begin this one with a story of how this came about, because this came about in a conversation that I had with a client, and we both agreed that we'd found something really subtle and profound and nuanced. And I live for these moments where you just find territory that's so interesting and so fresh that for a long time we sat in silence with it. Like if you were to listen to the playback of the session, it would be maybe 40% silence, just glimpsing what we had found together. So I wanted to share it with you so that you can glimpse it too. So it came about when we were talking about the passage of time in particular, and about anxiety that we have around the passage of time, because life often, it feels like one of two things. Either it's a race against time, or it's like time can't pass quickly enough. And so when you're in a race against time, so you need to like get important stuff done before your time runs out, then time feels like it's against you and it's moving too quickly and it's going too fast and anxiety, right? But then the opposite is the case. Let's just say you've clocked in for a shift at work and you really don't want to be there and it sucks. Then time suddenly does the opposite thing. How strange is that? Time goes from being really fast to being really slow and you can't get through it quickly enough. And so we found, okay, time really, it'll just present itself according to how we're positioned to it in this way. Okay. So therefore, what would be optimal, we decided, would be to find a position with time such that we just permit it to pass, but we have no demands on it. And we're able to do that, say, on a micro level, like within the context of this session, within the context of this conversation. But then we kind of experimented with the idea of opening it up so that we actually permit time to pass on the grandest level, on the level of our life. And what would that be like? So in other words, we're not trying to get to the end of it, nor are we trying to delay it in some way. We just permit time to pass. Now try this out for yourself just to get a taste of this. What would it be like if you were to permit time to pass? Just sit with it. Pause the video if you like. Permit time to pass. So you just say to yourself, I'm willing to let time pass. Like for me, it already feels like joy. Like it feels so good because like I generally live from a race against time kind of mentality. I'm a busy guy. There's a lot of stuff that I want to get done before I die. And so to just say, oh, I allow time to pass, it feels like freedom. It feels like my body kind of relaxing a little bit. It's really exciting. So that was kind of cool. We played with that a little bit. But then we both noticed that it still does feel a little stressful to allow time to pass because both of us are interested in the idea of self-actualization, or the becoming of what you're meant to become in this lifetime, and going as far as you can and doing as much as you can and creating as much success as you can in this lifetime. This is all exciting stuff, and we all feel a level of attachment to this, especially myself. Like I'm a dude who talks about self-actualization all day long. It's my profession. It's the substance of this YouTube channel. It's the only thing that matters. It's one of them. It's one of the highest, most important values. And so as a result of it being one of my highest values, it's one of the main stressors. It's one of the main causes of stress in my life. It's like, oh, what if I don't get it all done? What if I don't go far enough in this lifetime? And so then we proceeded into what was perhaps the most dangerous experiment. And this is the thrust of what we're here to talk about in this video. Is that we, for a minute, wondered what it would be like to let it be okay to not actualize our potential. What if we were to allow self-actualization to not be crucial, to not be essential, to not be necessary, and to just be something that would be quite nice instead? Something that goes from being necessary to being preferred. And so in that moment, there was some trepidation. There was a little bit of fear and reluctance. But I went ahead with it, and I went ahead with it because I've made a general principle for myself, a basic ground rule, which is to not be afraid of my own psychology and to be not afraid of blasphemy. And I use this word blasphemy to refer to being afraid to utter something with your mouth. So not necessarily blaspheming against a religious God, but just anything that holds religious status for us, such that you're unwilling to utter it. Like you're unwilling to utter something to the contrary of it that would blaspheme against it for fear of something bad happening. It's a sort of superstition. So what I'm saying is that I've made a rule against not being afraid of blaspheming. Okay, so I went ahead and I blasphemed against my own religion. And I said, okay, I'm not afraid to allow self-actualization to just be something that's kind of optional and not totally necessary anymore. And in that moment, boom, boom, peace, deep peace, liberation. I feel liberated. I feel okay. I feel grateful to be alive. I feel untethered. I'm not tethered to anything. And there is a deep satisfactoriness in existence itself. There is permission to move through life. And I was reminded in that moment, and I told this to the individual that I was speaking with, of something that the spiritual speaker, Matt Kahn, said to me personally when I attended one of his events a few years ago. I was very fortunate, very blessed to be able to speak with him for a few minutes one-on-one. And he suggested that you might move through life in such a way where there's no need to grip onto anything, nor push anything away. And to move through life the way you'd move through a museum, with deep, rapt attention, curiosity, interest, but crucially, a basic detachment. Like no need to grip or push away. That's detachment. That's what it is. And so now we might wonder at this point, because it feels really good, okay, we're free, we're at peace, we're liberated. What does this have to do with the actualization of potential? Like, Because you would wonder, if I have loosened my grip on it, does it mean that it's less likely to happen? That would be one interpretation. Or is it more likely to happen because I no longer grip it in a fearful way anymore? And that fearful gripping was perhaps preventing it from happening. And what would we say about that? Because it's not like something dramatic happened on the objective level right away. Like, it's not like I experienced some crushing failure, or like something fell through as a result of me relinquishing the effort. Like my life just imploded all of a sudden. No. But did I suddenly get hoarded by bags of gold and money? No, not necessarily either. So what's the difference? The difference is that even now, after having blasphemed, and this is a crucial piece, this will be a theme that will follow us through here as we continue, I still want to self-actualize. It's still my preference. And by self-actualization, like, I still want to do more and succeed more. But now I can do it with lightness. I can do it with levity. I can do it with creativity. And I'm still going to go ahead. But now there's no fear around it anymore. And the reason why this is important is because the more that we can become free of fear, the more we can offload fear, then the more grounded we can be in this lifetime. What is the ultimate purpose of our existence? On one hand, we have purpose in the form of something that we do, the roles that we play for the world. We want to do certain things, write our books, create our art, start our businesses, go to work, do our jobs, support our family, like all on the level of doing, perfectly valid, perfectly real, perfectly true. And yet there is another purpose that we have, which I would argue is a primary purpose. And the primary purpose of this lifetime is to exist and experience it. We are here to exist and we are here to experience life. That's why we're here. That's why we came here, is to experience this lifetime. And if we're going through our life such that the enjoyment of the experience and the appreciation of the experience now is lost, then the point is lost. If everything points towards what we're trying to get away from and what we're trying to get to, such that there's an essential quality of okayness that is reserved until we get there, then the point is ultimately lost, and then our effectiveness is lost. And the last thing I'm going to say about this is that they feed back into each other. In other words, my conviction is that the more present you're able to be, the more you're able to enjoy in an unguarded way this present moment, the more capable you become as a human being in your doing. Yes. So that's that. So let's turn this on to you then. I wonder if, as we've been talking this through, as we've been going about this, I wonder if, as we've been going through this, if you have a sense of what your sacred cows are. So I'll just give you a list of examples that may or may not apply to you. I just want to kind of get the juice going. So like, one of your values could be justice and protecting the innocent, actualizing your potential and being productive. That's my thing. Environmentalism and saving the world, caring for your loved ones, being open-minded, becoming rich and successful, duty and commitment to friends and family, the value of truth, the value of God, the value of awakening. So I'm not going to ask you to blaspheme, not just yet. What I want for you now is to become aware of what blasphemy for you would be. What in your mind is absolutely unquestionable? Like, no, we're not even going to talk about it. We're not even going to talk about it. It just is what it is. That's where I'm at with it. So look at what you have under that protected status. And now take a moment to see how the protected status of that value has an effect on your life. especially if it's a negative one. So an example might be, let's just say you're one of these really super high achieving types, and you have a philosophy, a personal philosophy of like, I never give up. Like, I never give up. I just keep going forever. I'll always do the thing. Maybe I have everybody counting on me, whatever that is. And if you were to entertain the idea of giving up, why don't you try giving up? Do you want to give up? Notice the contraction and the sense of no, and how you are a no to it in a way that's automatic and almost like not even a choice. It's just like, no, like that's not okay. I refuse to do it. And yet, is that refusal to give up, the refusal to stop, is that causing any deleterious effects on your existence? And if so, then my only invitation for you in this moment right now is to see the connection. So what would be a different example? Let's just say you have a commitment to God, a Christian God, for example. Let's just say you are a deeply religious person, and I asked you, are you willing to question the existence of God? Perhaps the answer is no, like just no, it's not safe. Maybe there's fear of damnation, a desire to get into heaven. There's maybe even a fear of loss of community. Like if I were to, question God, then it would just cause all of these knock-on effects to happen, and that would all be bad too. It's like, okay, you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. If you don't want to question God, you don't have to question God. All that you should do is just become extremely clear about the price that you pay. And you might say, well, I'm not paying any price, in which case I say, fine. But you may notice, if you're being honest, that the reason why we're talking about this to begin with is because there's something in you that's mounting. There's a mounting, say, a doubt or a curiosity or a desire to question. And notice over time how it becomes increasingly difficult to ignore. And if we project into the future, what will happen if we continue this way? Is it what? Is it going to plateau and stay equal, just like bad over the course of your life? Or is it going to continue to get worse? Just be aware of that and then do whatever you want with that awareness. So you'll know that you're in the right space if you really feel like you're on the line of something that's scary. It's like, no, I can't say it. And some of you might even cite the power of words. For example, those of you, such as myself, who are interested in the law of attraction, the principles of manifestation, where a big central element of those things is that you create your reality with your beliefs and with your language. And classically, famously, if you want to attract a lot of wealth, you may want to try affirmations that say, I'm totally wealthy, or journal it out or something. And so you could use this idea to say, no, like I don't want to say something that might cause something to happen. So like if I were to say, it's okay for me to give up, or it's okay for me to be poor, or I'm willing to release my responsibilities and duties, or something like that. What if I say the thing that scares me, but then it causes it to happen because I said it? That would be no good. And so for you, I would draw a distinction between two forms of saying things. And it's this: when you are manifesting something, when you're using your language and your beliefs to create something, this is a momentum that you stir up over time and allow it to become increasingly real. Sometimes it's quick and rapid, true, but usually it takes time. And if you have psychology that prevents it from happening, then you have to contend with it and work with it. And it's just not a one and done process, even though it's often very effective. But on the other hand, if you're considering saying something with your mouth that you like dare not say, that's a different thing. When you're considering saying something that you dare not say and there's fear around it, then it falls into the category of exposure therapy, like anything else. Just so like the idea being to, like if you're scared of elevators, but you feel like you're ready to conquer the fear, then you stay present and conscious and then move into the elevator as long as you can and, do the whole exposure therapy thing. And that's what this is. Saying something once doesn't cause something to happen. But externally, but internally, something massive does happen, of course. Like when you say it, you move through something, you move a door. And ultimately what happens when you blaspheme, when you step through the door, you become aware of how you've been misunderstanding your power. Prior to stepping through the door, you think that there's all this power in your language, which is technically true. But when you pass through it, you see that you've misunderstood the idea of there being power in your language. Where if you want to create something with your language, you have to do it over time. And in this case, when you speak something out loud, you are free. Like that's the power of your language. It creates freedom. All right, good. Let's get back on track here. Right. Okay. So we're talking about blaspheming, and we're talking about your values. So here's what I want you to know. If you value something, you value loyalty, you value independence, you value success, you value duty and responsibility to your family and taking care of your loved ones, you value your country, you value your religion, you value your God. Like, if these are things that you value, then they don't need to be protected by your fear. Because it's fear that prevents us from blaspheming, right? Because we're literally afraid that if I say this thing, if I release it from my mouth, something bad's going to happen and there's no coming back from it. When in reality, when you blaspheme, you become free and liberated in a way that there's no coming back from. But if you actually value this one thing, the value itself doesn't go anywhere. It just goes from being at absolute status to relative status. So to go back to the example of myself, I have this value of self-actualization and getting everything done, being productive, all these things. And I really, really want them. I really do. I want to succeed and do all this stuff that I talk about in these videos here. But if it's in absolute status, then I am afraid, I'm acting from fear, I'm racing against time, I don't have access to my creative resources, I'm stilted, and most importantly, I'm not having a good time. I'm just not having a good time anymore, and the ultimate point is lost. The ultimate point of life is lost if you're no longer enjoying, you're no longer having a good time. So I take it from absolute status to relative status. It becomes a strongly held preference. And as a result, I still value it. I'm still pointing the furniture of my life toward it. I'm still expending my effort towards it. I'm still employing my creativity and my resources toward it. But now that I'm free of the fear and the neediness and the clinginess and the grippiness and the pushing awayness, now I'm fluid, now I'm flexible, and more opportunity can find me through the periphery of my mind just because I'm not so rigid anymore. So if you value something, you'll value it. If you value something, it's not fear that holds your values in place. It's you, it's your personality that holds it in place. And even if it were fear that held that value in place, then what good is it for you? What good is moving through life from fear, operating from fear, being cowed and bullied by your own mind? What good is that? Is that what we came into this life to do? Is that what we're here for? No. You came to be a sovereign individual. That's why I keep hitting you over the head with it. You came into this world to live life on your own terms, to do what you want, not to do what you're bullied or threatened or intimidated into doing. What happens on the other side of blaspheming? Well, here's the God's honest truth. The God's honest truth is that we don't know. I cannot tell you for sure, because it's a portal. It's a door. When you it's not just blasphemy itself. It's any sort of fear that you face. Like once you face a fear and become conscious with it, we don't know exactly what will happen. Maybe something will happen internally. That's a basic guarantee. Maybe something external will happen. I don't know. So it's a very personal decision. And for that reason, I'm not sitting here like telling you to do this or telling you that like it's always you're going to get exactly what you want. What I'm doing is I'm indicating you the way that fear and intimidation operates in your own mind. And that when you allow yourself to operate from intimidation, like when your mind intimidates you and you obey that intimidation, that betrayal of yourself causes a form of friction that gets progressively worse over time. And we just simply want to be real about that. And we want to be real about what's the word? About this. We want to be real about this, about where your authority comes from. Whether you operate from intimidation or whether you operate from sovereignty, you just want to make a conscious decision about that. And we do that by looking at what we've put under protected, no matter what status, sacred status, like what in our mind has been designated as a no-go attitude. And I want you to come away from this knowing that you are the boss of your mind. And if there's anything standing in between you and the next level of your expansion, between you and your freedom, your liberation, if your soul is asking you to move in a direction, but the mind has rules against moving that way, if you meet the Buddha on the road, you cut off his head. Anything standing in between you and your expansion is an obstacle. Now, if you look at that obstacle and you go, okay, no, that's my value. Like this thing is what I want. This is my highest value. Then fine. But just make sure you're not being intimidated into it. That's what I want for you. Hit like on that. Hit that like button for me, please. Consider subscribing. Do subscribe. Why not? Why not? Become a subscriber, you scallywag. Let's do this. Check out the link in the description. Learn about Expand, Integrate. Get my free PDF, the Expand, Integrate Primer. And check out also, I just released a book that's called Congruence. And it's the final word on habit setting and addiction breaking. And it's there for you in my resources tab on my website, expandintegrate.com. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you on the next one.